Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Vedase Raghunathaya Nathaya Setaya Pate Namaha. Ayodhya Kand, chapter number 105, Bharata's Dharma. In this chapter, Bharata once again requests Rama to accept the kingdom of Ayodhya. This is the second time he says this. And Rama consoles Bharata. He says that death is inevitable for all living beings and they should not grieve for their deceased father. Rama once again asks Bharata to return to Ayodhya and take over the kingdom, and that he himself will stay in the forest. So this is the second time this particular conversation takes place. We saw a gist of that in the previous chapter, and in this chapter we are going to see it in a little bit more elaborate detail. Verse 1. Tata Purusha Simhanam Vritanam Tay Sukhrit Ganai Shochatam Eva Rajani Dukhena Vyatya Vartata. That night passed off painfully for the four lion-like brothers as they lamented, surrounded by their hosts of friends. Verse 2. Rajanyam suprabhatayam bhratara te sukhrit vrata mandakinyam hutam japyam kritva ramam upagamam. At dawn, they repaired to Mandakini river to perform their morning prayers and assembled again before Rama. Verse 3. Tushnim te samupasina na kaschit kinchid abravit bharata tu sukhrin madhye Rama vachanam abravit. Sitting in silence, no one uttered a word. Bharata rose and addressed Rama as follows. Verse 4. Santvita mamika mata dattam rajyam idam mama tad dadami tava eva aham bhungshva rajyam akantakam. Brother, you may argue that you cannot interfere with the orders of the emperor who made a gift of this kingdom to Kaikeyi on my account. I was not forgetful of this. I knew that my object could not be achieved if I did not secure the consent of Kaikeyi. So I persuaded her, and not lightly, to forego her claims. Say not, it is wrong of you to divert the gift of your father to other uses than he contemplated. But am I not your slave? Do not the Shastras proclaim that the slave owns no property? The kingdom bequeathed to your slave goes to you. So accept your own and reign over us long and happily. In the previous chapter, Bharata called himself as a dasa, and over here he says that he is giving back the kingdom to Rama. Why? Because a servant or a slave does not own property. Everything belongs to the master. So how can Bharata own something which already belongs to Rama? It is not possible. Therefore he says, this is your kingdom. I'm just giving it back to you. And he's asking Rama to enjoy it without any hindrance because he has no claim to that particular kingdom. Verse 5. Mahata iva ambu vegena bhinna setur jala agame Duravaram tvad anyena rajya khandam idam mahat. As the winter floods bring down the strong banks of rivers and lakes, it is hopeless for any other to rule over this kingdom in your absence. Verse 6. Gatim khara iva ashvasya tarakshayasya iva patatrina Anugantum na shaktir me gatim tava mahipate. What a world of difference between a horse fleet as the wind and a slow donkey. The mighty Garuda and a linnet, what have they in common? Similarly, O Lord of the world, I cannot follow your footsteps. Bharata very interestingly says the same thing when Rama returns and asks him to take over the kingdom. Bharata says that he cannot do the work that Rama can. Therefore, Rama is the one who should rule the kingdom of Ayodhya, and Bharata returns the kingdom of Ayodhya in the form of Rama sandals. So, Bharata was of the same opinion at the beginning of the exile as he was at the end of the exile. Even in those 14 years, not one tinge of materialistic desire took place in him. Verse 7. Sujivam nityasya tasya ya parer upajivyate Rama tena tu durjivam yah paran upajivati. O Rama, blessed are they who form the stay and support of others. Miserable is the life of him who ever looks up to others for everything in his life. So Bharata is coaxing Rama to lead a happy life where he will be the stay and support of multiple people. In the previous verse, he called Rama as Mahipate, or the Lord of the earth. And therefore, as a Lord of the earth, he is supposed to protect a lot of people. And Bharata says that that particular position is really wonderful. It's a very happy life. So Bharata is trying by whatever means possible to get Rama to return to Ayodhya. Verses 8, 9 and 10. Yatha tu ropito vriksha purushena vivardita Hrashvakena duraroho rudha skando mahadruma Sayada pushpito bhutva falani na vidarshayet satam na anubhavet pritam yasya heto prabhavita Esha upama mahabaho tvam artam vetum arhasi Yadi tvam asman rishabo bharta bhrityana shadihi. There was a gardener who planted a seed in a fertile soil and devoted all his time and care to the rearing of it. In good time, the seed sprouted. It became a plant. It grew into a mighty tree that hid the earth and the sky with its dense foliage. No dwarf or weakling or coward dare go up among its branches. It was almost invisible beneath its mantle of flowers. But if it bore no fruit, not a single one, just imagine the cold misery of him who planted it and reared it so carefully, all expectant to enjoy the fruit of his labors. O mighty armed brother, this illustration applies to you. It will be an insult to your intellect if I offer an interpretation of it. You are the distinguished Lord of all. May you guide us, your servants. Bharata repeats the same statement at the end of Yuddhakand when he coaxes Rama to accept Ayodhya from him. Once again, Bharata's views of serving Rama do not change over time. He is staunch at the beginning of Rama's exile and he is staunch at the end of Rama's exile that Ayodhya belongs to Lord Rama. There is no change in his opinion whatsoever. Verse 11. Shrenayah tva maharaja pashyantu agrayah cha sarvashah Pratapantam iva adityam raje sthitam arindamam. O Emperor, O Conqueror of foes, you are our Lord, our Master, our Protector. Please watch over our safety. Grant our citizens and their leaders the pleasure and privilege of beholding you crowned in all glory and installed on the throne of the Ikshvakus, resplendent as a myriad-rayed Lord of the day. Verse 12. Tava anuyane kakutsta matta nardantu kunjara antah pura gata naryo nandantu su samahita. O Rama, let maddened elephants follow in your wake, trumpeting wildly. Let the royal ladies and the women welcome you with joy. Verse 13. Tasya sadhu iti amanyata nagara vividha jana bharatasya vacha shrutva Ramam pratya anuyachata. Hearing the words of Bharata beseeching Rama to return, the countless citizens gathered there expressed their approval of what he said and praised him high. Verse 14. Tam evam dukhitam prekshya vilapantam yashasvinam Rama kritatma bharatam samashvasayad atmavan. Rama, of supreme self-control over his thoughts and emotions, observed the noble and illustrious Bharata lament his fate and said to himself, "My brother is grieved overmuch that I do not accede to his request. He blames himself as the cause of my exile to the forest and of the sad death of the emperor. I should console him in any way and disabuse him." Then he said aloud, verse 15, Na atmana kamo karo asti purusho ayam anishvara itah cha itarata cha enam kritanta parikarshati. Dear boy, you seem to have concluded that our sire drove me to the woods at the instance of Kaikeyi. Neither you nor she are in any way the cause of it. It is all the work of destiny. No one is absolutely free to do as he likes. Here and in other worlds, destiny binds the impotent ego and leads him where it wills. A little thought upon the nature of things will convince us that it is vain to stay the course of nature, so it does not become us to bewail the death of our father. Rama says that we are all Anishvara. So Ishvara means the controller who is independent. But Anishvara means the one who is not independent. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 27, verse 24, the translation and purport are as follows. By discovering the faultiness of his desire to lord it over the material nature and by therefore giving it up, the living entity becomes independent and stands in his own glory. The purport is, because the living entity is not actually the enjoyer of the material resources, his attempt to lord it over material nature is, at the ultimate issue, frustrated. As a result of frustration, he desires more power than the ordinary living entity and thus wants to merge into the existence of the supreme enjoyer. In this way, he develops a plan for greater enjoyment. When one is actually situated in devotional service, that is his independent position. Less intelligent men cannot understand the position of the eternal servant of the Lord. Because the word servant is used, they become confused. They cannot understand that this servitude is not the servitude of this material world. To be the servant of the Lord is the greatest position. If one can understand this and can thus revive one's original nature of eternal servitorship of the Lord, one stands fully independent. A living entity's independence is lost by material contact. In the spiritual field, he has full independence, and therefore there is no question of becoming dependent upon the three modes of material nature. This position is attained by a devotee, and therefore he gives up the tendency for material enjoyment after seeing its faultiness. The difference between a devotee and an impersonalist is that an impersonalist tries to become one with the Supreme so that he can enjoy without impediment, whereas a devotee gives up the entire mentality of enjoying and engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. That is his constitutional, glorified position. At that time, he is Ishvara, or fully independent. The real Ishvara or Ishvara Parama, the supreme Ishvara or supreme independent, is Krishna. The living entity is Ishvara only when engaged in the service of the Lord. In other words, transcendental pleasure derived from loving service to the Lord is actual independence. In Nectar of Devotion, chapter 22, this is mentioned. Krishna does not change his constitutional position, not even when he appears in this material world. Ordinary living entities have their constitutional spiritual positions covered. They appear in different bodies, and under the different bodily concepts of life, they act. But Krishna does not change his body. He appears in his own body and is therefore not affected by the modes of material nature. In the first canto, 11th chapter, verse 38 of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that the special prerogative of the Supreme Controller is that he is not at all affected by the modes of nature. The practical example of this is that devotees who are under the protection of the Lord are also not affected by material nature. To overcome the influence of material nature is very difficult, but the devotees or saintly persons who are under the protection of the Lord are not affected. So what need is there to speak of the Lord himself? To be more clear, although the Lord sometimes appears in this material world, he has nothing to do with the modes of material nature, and he acts with full independence in his transcendental position. This is a special quality of the Lord. So from these two purports, it is very clear that a living entity becomes dependent when he is in material contact. And since the Lord is never affected by the modes of material nature, he is always independent. When a Jivatma surrenders to the Lord and does loving transcendental service to the Lord, he or she also comes to the independent platform. So the true independence is to be completely dependent on the Lord. In the lecture on Srimad Bhagavatam 3:26-41 given in Bombay on Jan 16, 1975, Srila Prabhupada explains, so Krishna has given us little independence because we are part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna is fully independent. He does not depend on anyone. But although we have got independence to a certain extent, but under the control of Maya. In the spiritual life, there is also Maya, that is called Yoga Maya. And in the material life, there is also Maya, that is called Mahamaya or Durga. So we are just like small children. He is given either to the mother for taking care or to the nurse for taking care. The little child must be taken care of either by the mother or an appointed nurse or maidservant. Similarly, we being very tiny, small, fragmental, atomic part and parcel of Krishna, although we have got all the ingredients of Krishna, still we require protection, just like the child and the father. Now in this verse, the Kritanta that Rama speaks about is actually destiny, or basically it is being affected by the three modes of material nature. Rama, of course, is completely independent. As we saw earlier, he does not get affected by the three modes of material nature because he is completely transcendental. Yet he goes to stay in the forest for 14 years because he has to establish a lot of dharma. He needs to meet his beloved devotees and of course to annihilate the miscreants, the asuras that were tormenting his devotees. So there are multiple reasons why Rama does certain things, but it is never because he himself is affected by the three modes of material nature. And we will continue with Rama's instructions in the next section.